It's so hard to try to tell you why you should read this book without spoiling anything, but we're sure going to try. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about quite a unique book, which is Electric Forest by Tanith. Now, this is the original cover by the fantastic Don Mates, who is married to Janie Wirtz. And unfortunately, it seems like it's really difficult to actually track down reasonably priced copies in reasonable condition of this particular version. So, side note, but yeah, if you see one, let me know. But this one is really difficult to talk about because this is the type of book that really you should go in blind. And I talked about, this was picked for me, I should note, by Joanna as part of my Out of Your Comfort Zone October. This was the last one I'm doing a review for, and by far this has to be my favorite, and this still is very much out of my comfort zone. I don't do a lot of kind of older sci-fi, and this is also unique for some other reasons. So it's one I really wasn't sure how I was going to feel about, and I knew next to nothing, and I feel like knowing pretty much nothing is the way to go with this one. So with that, I'm going to try and give a review without really giving a lot of details as to what the book is about. Just kind of giving you some information on the feel. It is sci-fi, and it has that kind of old school sci-fi sort of feel. Which, take that as you may. It's something, I haven't read a ton of old school sci-fi, but it just sort of has that feel, that classic sci-fi type of feel. And the other thing that I can very specifically say is the prose is excellent, and that's part of it. Just the descriptions and the way that this is written, I found to be really, really wonderful. So I will be reading a couple of excerpts just to give you an idea. Ones that really don't tell you anything, but just kind of give you a good look at the writing style. Because that's, I think, this is really what I can sell you on, is the writing style. And if the excerpts sound great, then, that'll be good ones. But also, I just think that thematically, if you're somebody who likes reading for theme, this is the kind of book that I think that's going to do that. It explores some different themes in some different ways, in really interesting ways, and it's one of those stories that has some complex themes going along with the other stuff happening, and I think that's really great. Like I said, it's the kind of book that I recommend giving a shot. If you come across a copy or you want to try an ebook, I did read this one. I ended up doing ebook for it, but it's definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something different. But yeah, gosh, there's so many things I really want to say, but I've never, besides Joanna, and I know that she heard about it from somebody else too, but besides Joanna, I've never heard anybody talk about this. So it's where, like, I really want people to give it a shot, but it is hard, and I do think it's more rewarding if you don't know what you're getting into. With that, though, let me read a couple of quick little samples here to start. Now, like I said, this is really not giving anything that's any sort of spoiler or telling you what it's about. Just really nice descriptions, and I want to read some to give you an idea. So first we have, in the daytime, the mercurialized cladding of the house burned up in a drastic dry white fire. The tall trees that massed about it inside the wall seemed to make vain attempts to douse the fire with their blue stems. But there was something wrong with the trees. Tactile, fertile, conveying vague drifts of scent, they grew in the unnourishing rock of the shore above the salt flats of the salty sea. When their blue leaves fell, which sometimes they did, it was not an answer to the wind, and Magdala could not afterward find the leaves upon the ground. And when the blaze of the house or of the sun itself moved behind them, the trees dissolved. The trees were not real. So just an opening passage to a chapter there, which already gives you some idea. It is called Electric Forest. So there you go. There's some trees. And then we'll do one more quick. The sea screamed. The night smelled dank and oddly menacing with salt, as if the ghost of a great ocean beast moved through it, breathing. And just some really nice descriptions. So like I said, it's prose-wise, I feel like for me, I was really pulled in to begin with because of that. Like the writing style is very engaging. Although when I first started this, because this is what I'll say without getting any details. When I first started this, I was just like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. Because it starts off with a certain feel that feels like it's going to go in directions of some things that I'm not a huge fan of. But it goes in so many other directions. It builds really well, and it's one of those things that it's just the very first page isn't necessarily going to give you everything about it by any means, but it is a pretty quick read, and it's just, yeah, there's a lot going on. It has a very complex theme. It's very beautifully written, a lot of just unique ideas, the way things are explored, and it's one of those books too that I know sometimes with more classic sci-fi or older sci-fi, people get held up on the fact that there are references to things that are, make it feel very dated. So like there are references to cassettes here, which obviously is kind of dated. This is one of those ones though where the actual technology and the things like that, if you just picture it as whatever would be futuristic now, it totally works. There's nothing that like hinges on these things still being relevant. And there also is mention of like discs, little discs that are put in the ears to listen to music, which is something that's still held up really well. So while there are some other things that don't, it's the kind of thing that, yeah, if you just picture it as modern tech, it works really well. I always try to do that when you're looking at classic sci-fi, because there are some things like if the plot absolutely hinged on like an old school answering machine or something in sci-fi, that would obviously not quite work. But it's nothing like that at all. There's just some references there that make it feel a little bit dated because it is older, but at the same time it works really well. There's nothing here that hinges upon that, and so it works really well. If you just kind of picture any reference to something that feels like really dated as not, it works really well. So I think that's also the hallmark of a sci-fi book aging well, because it can be hard, and sometimes classic sci-fi does not age well for some of those reasons, among others. But overall, like I said, this is going to be kind of a shorter review because I can't tell you much about it. But if you check this out, or if you've read this, please let me know. And I'd love to chat with you about it as well, just because I have really enjoyed talking with Joanna about this book. It just was something so different and yet so well written and just really, really cool. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. This was definitely my favorite out of the October picks, and I'm very curious to try more from this author because they have written quite a lot of both sci-fi and fantasy, it sounds like. So definitely something that I will be checking out. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, because I have to stop myself from revealing anything. But definitely, like I said, let me know in the comments if you've read this or if you do end up reading it, as well as it's a good segue to check out the links in the description for the Discord if you want to chat about it there. Also, you can check the link for the Patreon if you want to support what I do. And of course, give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And if you enjoy my content in general, make sure to subscribe.